Welcome to the channel. Building overseas doesn't have to be a nightmare. My goal is to help you make that dream a reality. Expect weekly tips on the process of building that dream home and the lifestyle it brings. So check out my videos, subscribe, and share. Thank you. Good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Use your schedule Saturdays. Hope everybody is doing very well today. As the topics shows, building quickly and what is building quickly in our part of the world versus building correctly in our part of the world. So let me know if you can hear me and stuff, get a feedback. That's always good. Okay. So glad to have you guys join me and stuff as we have this discussion about, the building series and how to make progress as you go. And so, like the topic says, building quickly, or build versus building correctly doesn't mean that you could not build quickly and also build correctly in that aspect. It can be done, but a lot of things has to be done, ahead of time. So I'll give you some stats, and then that will help what my definition of building quickly. So if we look at in the United States, right? Um, if it takes roughly about, if people are building for sale, so they are building homes to sell, it takes about 6 to 7 months, because they have all the supplies, the experience, planning, all those things have been put in place. So it's easier to do that. But then if you have contractor build, then it's about 9 months. Okay. But if you're building something for your own in the US, it's about a year, right? From the time that, because, in between there's like inspections and all that stuff that goes on, permits and that breakdown. But our part of the world, so checking so I know who is out there. In our part of the world, what usually happens is that it's a little bit different in the real estate aspect. And so one of the things that happens is that most of us will build project base for several years as well. And then there will be a few of us that could be able to do something in a quick. What I mean by quick in the African sense would be, my definition of building very quickly would be about 2 years. Within 2 years, I think within 2 years is very quick, right? Within 2 years is very quickly. Due to the fact that most people are not using mortgages, they're bringing cash to build. So building 2 years, within 2 years in Africa, I would say is very quick. 3 5 years, I would say average. Average, 3 5 years, I would say building in Africa, 3 5 years would be average, but I think it's a respectable feat. It's not easy coming up with the cash to be able to do that. 6 to 10 years, I would say, is on the long end, and anything after 10 years would be the further end, right? Like Carl said, right? Build a house correctly. Take your time if necessary, right? I agree with that, right? Take your time, okay? Take your time to get things done. So now, one of the things of building quickly, one of the advantages is that basically, in our part of the world, inflation and superinflations are real, super real and affect things. So when you do build quickly, it costs cheaper than you spread it out in multiple years. Um, but um, there's also some kind of disadvantages as well, because what happens is, technology is changing. So let's say if you can build a house in a year, right? In a few years from now, there's new roofing style, there's new AC that comes out, there's new windows, there's new kinds of doors that are much more secure and efficient, and all those things. And sometimes it may not be compatible when you try to exchange them for what you have because you didn't make any provisions, right? So there's that aspect. And but another thing too, I wanted to share with you guys also is some of the factors that can slow you down as you build your house, because ideally not every step is going to go smoothly as possible. When you build a new construction, things will come up. That's the reality. There's a few complications here and there, and sometimes minor or major delays are always possible, right? But it's some of the factors that is going to that affects building homes quickly. One would be sometimes the payment process. Once you're done with the land issue, the litigation, land issue, or potential processing of the land and acquisition, all that stuff, then sometimes payment, right? So payment can be, it can take a while to get a permit, but people say, Tony, that's Ghana, I can go around it, whatever. Yeah, there's things you can do around it, but to actually get a permit, some places a reasonable time, other places takes longer to get a bidding permit, right? To be able to do that. And sometimes you get into land guard situations, right? Which can slow your project if the issues are not resolved. So that may or can affect your project timeline and stuff. Another issues too is like weather, right? In the rainy season, building the rainy season obviously is going to slow down some of the projects, because if it's rainy season, you can't really do your plaster work, stuff like that. So that may slow things down, right? So you can't be, it's raining and you're trying to do roofing and all kinds of stuff. It's a problematic. Another thing that we have to factor in too is location and topography, right? Your building is you're isolated from everything, so it takes longer time to get materials out there. You're on a hill with no road, and it's difficult getting some vehicles to go over there. So sometimes the vehicle can actually get up there. So you put materials further down the downstream. I've seen that before, and so you have to collect them and move them, all that kind of stuff. And then the topography too, the type of soil, type of soil that you have can also slow down your build, especially when you're doing foundation, especially when you're digging in clays. Clays are very, very notorious, right? It's going to take you some time to able to, excavate that and that as well. Okay. Yeah, inflation is a problem. Cement, yep. So, yep. And so these are some of the things. So could you imagine what 2 years from now, what the cost of cement alone, and not only the cost of cement, iron rods, are also everything. Wood, nails, labor is going up because everything is going up. Gas, transportation, food, and so this is going to affect the budget. I always tell people, come up with a budget you think is going to work, and every year that you think is going to, you're going to extend it, add another 20-25% to it. Because if you start, like, let's say you say you're going to use $150,000 to build a home and you're going to spread out in 4 years, yeah, no, you're going to pay more than that. You'll probably get you around 200, 200 by that time you get to that point. So inflation, hyperinflation, and everything is real. Is a factor to consider. So that is why now is looking at the size of the homes and all those things becomes important. Another thing also that can thanks Emmanuel, thanks for joining me here. Another thing you also have to factor in, that also affects your slow builders, the builder's experience, right? So the builder's experience and the crew you are using, right? So we inexperienced builders can usually can take longer to finish a project when quality needs to be demanded. And so for builders that have been in industry for a long time, tend to kind of like narrow things down to a science in execution and that kind of stuff, right? And so when you're looking for contractors, you also want somebody with an experience aspect, so then you can be the beneficiary of all that stuff that has happened. And sometimes, limited by size of the crew, right? If they have 5, 6 guys, obviously it's going to take a little bit longer for to get things done. One thing also too, you can bear in mind, is, so you have any questions, you can reach to me on my website, right? Check out the website and stuff and see some of the product and services we offer for anybody interested in doing anything related to Ghana. The consultations are really, really important. It's really important to help you gauge and understand what is it that you are getting into. Not everything is for public consumption. There's certain things I'll never say publicly, whether it's strategies or anything related to security or in that kinds of stuff. So use that services for you so you can maximize the other potential. Okay. Now, thanks for joining anyway. What a lady. Glad you could be here. Another thing too that can slow down your constructions build. Granted, if you have the money, you are ready to go, is the type of home you want to build, a construction style, right? So modern, contemporary, cottage, European, Spanish, Mediterranean, so many um, style of building. Is going to affect the project timeline, right? Some builds are easier to get done. Some are a little bit more intricate. So that takes time unless you want them to do something, we call it nyama nyama, something not up to par for you and stuff like that. So from a builder's perspective, another things too is like the demand by the clients, right? So another variable which will affect the timeline for new construction is basically the demands of the clients. What I mean by that is that when you have a client who's not basically who who basically changes decisions, on the goal, who has not really nailed down exactly what they want from the beginning. That could also change the timeline, and sometimes end up being costing more. Like all of a sudden, it's 2 bedroom. They want it to be converted to another 3 bedroom, and but then they didn't say it before the foundation. But then it's like you happen to figure all those things out, and so it's better that you and I'll give you some strategies to help not find yourself of second guessing what is it that you want all the time. Okay. So now one benefit of taking your time to build, which will be is that you get to have available to you technologies and potentially more efficient ways of doing things because of experience, knowledge, and information, right? And so that is one benefit. Another benefit I can see too would be financially. Financially, you are able to stagger this project while making sure that you are not, you are not financially depleting all your resources in attempt to get this thing done. So you can take your time and take care of all the other responsibilities, like like your retirements and your checking account, your mortgages, your rents, money for the kids, college fund, and insurances and all those things. You're able to do all those things while you also save for the project itself. Okay. So that is one another benefit, but the con is that it's going to cost more over time due to inflation and hyperinflation. So tips for getting your house built faster. Okay. One, know what you want. Know exactly what you want. So do a lot of research, planning before you design a home. So even you start way before in terms of where you want to build, location, where you want to build, also type of home, sitting with your architect and basically trying to get everything as much as possible on all those things. Type of, you gotta think about a lot, type of roofing style, type of windows, flooring, uh, type of building style. Are you going to have your own electrical of the grid hybrid system? So know a lot about what you want and getting down in details. That's going to help. Second most important thing is get your finances in order. Get some codes. We charge for code for reasons because it does take us a lot of time and energy to actually get the numbers and everything. And sometimes people have to drive to places because not everything is the same, right? Even in Accra, certain places cost a little bit more here and there, depending on where you're buying them, right? So get your finances in order, get some codes, save, factor in inflation, no over inflation in mind. And I can take some questions as well too if you have them about the build itself. And so be honest in your ability to build that massive house, which is going to require a lot of resources, right? So be honest to yourself about that and have a realistic expectations, right? So all this is tied to getting your finances in order. Another thing I think is very important that helps you is be cool, be calm, be collected, be kind, be respectful to your building team. Because sometimes people think, making harsh demands is really going to result in getting things done faster. It's not going to happen that way. It might work while you are there, but when you leave, it's gonna reverse to even worse situations. So instead, just make it a priority to form a really good, positive relationship with your contractor that is building your projects based on trust and respect. There's a high chance when you have that. There's a high chance that you go and deliver the timeline and stuff like that. Okay. So, and I know sometimes too, you have people, that want to, like, they can call themselves particular, detail oriented, or whatever names they call it. So they'll have around project day and night and nitpick everything and stuff like that. And I can understand that because sometimes I do that myself. But the most important thing is this: ask a ton of questions before, during, and after. Because the one thing you don't want is having your building team be confused because they're doing something and they know that, oh, if they shows up, the client is going to change it anyway, and that kinds of stuff. So ask questions, educate yourself in the process. Construction looks messy before it gets nicer. So in the beginning, it's unattractive. There'll be stuff all over the place, and then once we start getting to plastering and stuff like that, then things begin to take shape for you. Let me know if you have any questions, and we'll take it, and then we'll take it from there. Okay. So the goal is, granted, if you have all the money right now, it's still going to take you about 7 to 8 months in Ghana if you bring all the money to get a quality build in a quick time, because certain things have to wait. Now, that is now if you're building 2 bedrooms, that's a different than if you're building 6 bedrooms, right? So those things. But I'm thinking about a 2,000, 3,000 square feet house with everything. What I mean, everything completed, meaning what my definition is completion is everything is done except you bring your clothes. So you have everything, all the appliances, all the fixtures, all the furnitures, beds, the wardrobes all fixed, everything flooring, everything is done. And then when you come in, landscaping is done, plumbing, everything. You just bring your clothes, right? So that will take you some time, because at a certain point you're gonna meet a rainy season that'll slow down. People get sick, people travel, holidays, things gonna happen, and so it takes time. Working with some other subcontractors. So it take about roughly 9 months to run to bring all the money to build and make sure everything is in place, as well. So, but if you can do it within 2 years, that'd be dope. That'd be on the quick end of building, and stuff like that. 3 to 5 being the average. which is very respectable. It's not easy, it's a lot of money and stuff like that. Then 6 to 10 would be the longer path, and then 10 being on the very long, aspect. And so start, start, and then keep steady, and then be persevere, and then work on that one at a time, and then and spend time with people that are in pursuit of similar things. Then you can have ideas and stuff like that. And if it's a service, go pay and get a knowledge, and then educate yourself and get better. The goal is to produce something magical, something that you're gonna love, and it's very, very difficult for you to have all the ideas. Nobody does. So checking with people that you think can help you, even start a process. I think the biggest thing is starting, right? A lot of people want to do it. Um, it's like sometimes just get going, they just don't know how to, and stuff like that. So we can help you in that aspect with the conversations, um, to get you understand and what kind of cost effective, what you need, what you might need, um, you know, and stuff like that. Cause um, okay, let's see what we say. Bridges here, slow, steady wins the race. Yes, consistency, right? Consistency. So just take your time, and also, yes, whenever you can do multiple projects, you do them, because the dollar is stronger, or the euros or the pound sterling or whatever that currency is stronger. You do that aspect. So you take advantage of that. And for me, when I get into a building mode for the rest of that number of years, that becomes the most priority outside all the responsibilities. That becomes, I cut off everything. I don't pay attention to anything. I don't. I spend my time with people methodically and cognitively and stuff like that, because I have a goal that I want to accomplish, and so I zone in, and I have tunnel vision of it. I don't get distracted. I limit all the stuff. It becomes like a passion and um, natural high per se, to start this thing and get it done as soon as possible. Okay. Yes. So it's very, very important. You build correctly. There's no, and that is not subjective. It's not true. There's build quality. It's going to cost you a little bit more in a sense, and then the block work. And I'll tell you this again. I went back and double checked this, and I'm talking to some of my friends who have already built, who also have been tracking this. So normally the block work of your house, okay, when you do all the block work, what do I mean by that? Let's say when you've done the foundation, the first floor, you've done your decking, flooring, whatever. And then you've done the second floor. So I'm using story building for this as an example. Just the block work, okay? The block work. The block work is about 25 to 29% of the total cost. 25 to 29% of the total cost. That is where we're looking at it about. Um, so sometimes there's a tendency, people have done all the block work and they think that they actually are halfway. No, you are not halfway. Because I can easily add up 5 or 6 things that will get you with double your block work easily without even sweating, right? So the block work, why is it exciting? Is about 25 to, you know, 20, less than 30% of the cost. So that can give you gauge of what is it that you're about to spend, because when you get windows, quality windows are expensive. When you go to phase 3 wiring, you do your quality wiring. If you're adding CCTVs and backup for generating solar and all those things, quality ones, they get expensive, right? When you start doing flooring, it adds up. We start doing plastering, so all the finishing stuff. Then you have to, if you have 6 bedroom, everything is 6. toilet 6, kitchens, sink 6, everything, right? And so then your doors, on average, you're gonna have 15 or more doors, right? Because if you add all the extended entrances and to the laundry room, to the party room, to the guest room, to all the bedrooms and hallways and all those things, you're gonna have a lot of doors, right? People don't think about that, and so you're probably gonna have more than 15 windows, right? Um, and stuff like that. So so they do add up, and so roughly 25 to 29%. Took me about 20 years. I'm still wrapping it up. Yep. That's why it took me about 27 years as well. Yep. Whatever it takes. You hey, the most thing is getting it done, right? Getting it done and stuff like that. So um you build at your own pace, it's your timeline. But just also take advantages of the currency, exchange and all that stuff. So but at the end of the day, it's like it's your project, your timeline. Okay. Quickly from foundation to superstructure completion. For a project, I will use mine for an example. The second build, okay, because that was really really fast. I think we got it from foundation to superstructure. Was about 3.5 weeks of 6 days a week of working, and also to the ground, right? So there's a little bit factors in there to the ground, because my place is clay and rocky, so it's very very hard, very very hard. So the excavators couldn't do nothing with digging, so it has to be manual, unfortunately for the guys, and so that took about 5 6 days. I think a week, it even took a week instead of them doing. And I went and we usually go a little bit depth and width with the foundation tip over there. So it took 3.5 weeks to get everything done. So yeah, so obviously I also factor in the size, right? So given that, that would be about what is it, 1,700 square feet ground level, right? So yeah, so that would be a that. So obviously if you have 3,000, 4,000 of foundation square footage, that will take a little bit longer. And also the number of people you are bringing on site, that's going to change that. Okay. Many lessons learned the way. That's all. That's what it is, man. You will learn. So make it journey, and the more you know, the better decisions you are going to have. Your builder, if they are very good, could help you, but not every builder. Um, I think one of the advantages, I have per se is that, especially building with people from outside, is that I kind of like know what you are looking for, and stuff like that. And so we can speak the same language and try to execute that for you on the ground. And so for if you do just with a local person, sometimes that's where the communication is really, really important. If you guys can click the like button and subscribe, I really, really appreciate it, as well. Yes, thank you. Thank you. I'm going to throw this mic away. All right, thank you. So I repeat. So get the construction building guide. Okay. It's going to show you in sequence everything that you need to do. And so from there, you can group projects together if it's one and two because it's sequential. And then that can also help you sometimes with the labor aspect, when you are doing these projects together instead of doing them individually. So instead of getting, if it's step 10 and step 12, you could, if it's something that's going to work together, which I was saying that, how many times have you seen people do plastering and then they have to go and crack it because they forgot something that's supposed to be in the wall and all that kinds of stuff, right? So in there, it tells you everything that needs to be in the wall, everything that needs to go in the wall, and so that basically when When you plaster, you are breaking the wall down for any reason. That is in there. Okay. So that is in that way. So I would say get that. That would be the best bet for you to consolidate some of these projects. Thanks for the tip of an iron rods. The price has gone through the roof. Of course, it's not easy. Okay. So yes, yes. So unfortunately, it's costing us a little bit more as well. And I always tell people, if you can buy ahead of time, sometimes storage is a problem. Those people have been cutting the chains off and be taking them. So if you have to store them securely as well. And so when you can do that, I would say just buy what you need uh, as well. Okay. All right. All right. Give a few shout out to people that join us. Yeah. Hajia, thank you for joining. Embroidered hat. Q. By Love Nanaya. Thank you, Hajia. Okay. All right. So pretty much. So um, just just stay steady, stay on it, and just use all the tools that that can help you. Is going to test you. This building thing is going to test you. Is going to test your finances. Is going to test your commitment. It's going to test everything. And so, but I would say, it's going to be worth it when you're done at the end. And so don't lose hope, and then reach out to us, through our website, and then we can have the discussion go and stuff like that, so you can be efficient and be successful, in your pursuit. But I would say I always advocate um, building it well, building it well than cutting too many corners, and then eventually, especially with structure and stuff like that, and eventually, you know, something happening, and you have to go back and try to, remedy that. So just build it well, pay the money now, and then know that in the future, your renovations will be cosmetics, right? Paint and maybe replacing the cabinet or stuff like that. So, but nothing to do with structure. Is there a case that taking a loan for your project a good idea? Um, yes and no. But Bridget, this is a consultation question because it depends on a lot of factors. Where are you taking the loan from? Are you taking it against yourself, right? Are you taking it from a bank? Here, are you taking it in Ghana? Are you taking it from a relative? Um, how much income you have? Can you pay it back? So these are some of the questions that when we do consultations, we give you some of the strategies um, of okay, all right, let's say you know you're paying something at 6%, but then if you take the money from here, it's 2%. So these are some of the bunch of stuff that I use to fund this project. And so that I can't say yes because what loan are you taking? There's some places don't do it. It's a bad idea because you also have to look at paying it back and what is the interest rate is going to look like when you pay it back. Where should you take it, or should you not take it at all? And this is kind of like an individual things, stuff like that. Because there's some areas that I would say no go, um, and then there's some areas I say okay, based on the income, how much you save and stuff like that. You can pay it back. The interest is very low, and we can have that discussion. right? So it's a one-on-one thing. I've seen some people be reckless, get themselves in severe debt, ruin their financial um, life, trying to be unrealistic or get some bad advice, and something happens, and I've seen marriages fail over these things. And so you have to, we have to like really talk one on one, and then we can see what are your options, so we can also tell you certain things that maybe you are not even aware of. And so that strictly is consultation question. Okay. And so because listen, there's a lot of, you know, living in the West. If somebody says that, living in the West was a waste of their time, well then, I mean, I don't know what they were doing with their life the whole time. There's a lot of things that you can do. There's a lot of information how the rich build this multi-million dollar complexes, what they are doing and stuff like that. Um, and this information are available to us. So that would be consultation. That would not be public consumption. Okay. So reach out, and then we can look at where it is, and then we can advise you and say, this is good, this is bad, no go. And then I'll share with you some of the strategies I use myself. All right. Okay. Other than that, if there's no questions, uh, thank you. I appreciate you guys taking the time to join me. I try to keep it on an hour mark by place, stuff like that. So keep building. I'm still building. They've been on it for a couple of months now. They're gonna go for another maybe 3 weeks max, and then they'll take a break to a couple of months. So I'm still trying to grind it, in spite of all the in- hyperinflation and stuff that's going on. I'm trying to grind it as much as possible and make sure my decisions are important, because I don't want to go break stuff and trying to do other things. So every day I'm talking to my team and planning things way ahead. I'm already start. I'm like a couple of years from landscaping, but I already have my landscaping design or what I want to do and stuff like that. So it's about planning ahead of time, and then putting things in place. But all the same, I appreciate you. Keep winning. Keep pushing yourself. Be the best version of yourself. Be the most accomplished in your family. Be the one that changed the legacy for your family, and be the one that someday your great grandchildren can have that picture and say, a great grandfather, great grandmother was the reason why we're able to have all these things, that we're able to be impactful and make a difference in the world, and that kinds of stuff. So all the other stuff is okay. The nice houses, the cars, the lifestyle is all wonderful, but um, there's a more deeper meaning to these things than that. Okay, like you said, no grind, no shine, right? So thank you. I appreciate you. Have a great weekend. Apologize for the audio. I may have to buy a different mic, even though this one is not cheap. But thank you. Enjoy. Have a great weekend. Bye bye.